It is very important to Donald Trump that he be portrayed as a rich man, preferably a billionaire. As the first president ever to emerge from the world of reality television, Trump's wealth and the image of a wildly successful businessman were both central to The Apprentice. And each episode ended in a mock boardroom, even though because he ran a family company, Trump didn't have a real board of directors. All of this is in the news because of a Washington Post story quoting journalists who used to work at Forbes. Reporter Jonathan Greenberg writes that Trump lied to him about his wealth over 30 years ago in order to be included in the Forbes 400 list. He claims in May of '84, Donald Trump called him pretending to be a Trump Organization official named John Barron, a pseudonym Trump has used before. Greenberg says, quote, "When I recently rediscovered and listened for the first time since that year to the tapes I made of this and other phone calls, I was amazed that I didn't see through the ruse. Although Trump altered some cadences and affected a slightly stronger New York accent, it was clearly him. Barron told me that Trump had taken possession of the business he ran with his father, Fred." Here now a portion of that recorded conversation.
Okay, what's your first name, John? John Barron. Does Fred Trump make money management decisions?
Oh yeah, sure. He's the chairman. Donald's the president, and Fred Trump is active. He's an excellent guy, and you know how they're very close. The relationship of the two is, as you know, very close, as you've heard or know, or perhaps you don't know. But Fred Trump is active in the business too.
Yeah, we have this really strange technical thing, Mr. Brown, in terms of who is, who holds the equity. I mean, are you saying that perhaps for tax purposes, the ownership has been transferred to Donald Trump?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, and would you say, in excess of 90% of the ownership, I believe?
I'd say in excess of 90. In fact, well, it's really closer to even the ultimate, but it's in excess of 90%, yes.
Greenberg writes that he and Forbes did push back on Trump at the time, but eventually he learned that Trump should not have been on the first 3 Forbes 400 lists at all. Quote, "In our first ever list in 1982, we included him at 100 million, but Trump was actually worth roughly 5 million, a paltry sum by the standards of his super-moneyed peers, as a spate of government reports and books showed only much later." Greenberg goes on to write, quote, "It would be decades before I learned that Forbes had been conned. In the early 1980s, Trump had 0 equity in his father's company. According to Fred's will, portions of which appeared in a lawsuit, the father retained legal ownership of his residential empire until his death in 1999, at which point he left it to be divided between his 4 surviving children and some of his grandchildren." The White House declined to comment on Greenberg's story, and the Trump Organization did not respond to a request for comment.